Joining me, the 2021 UCD Alumni Award winner in Research, Innovation and Impact, Anne O'Dea. Anne, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
You are no stranger to awards, but what does this particular award mean to you?
You know, it is funny, isn't it? There is something very special about getting an award from your own alma mater. I was almost a little bit taken aback how chuffed I was. I just was delighted. It's very special because I have great memories of UCD, so it means a lot.
Now, you have been an advocate for women in STEM particularly. Where did that passion come from?
Yeah, and I suppose it's even wider than women, though it started there. I would have always had a great sense of social justice, which I blame my parents for. But then I was working in science and technology, and it was really kind of annoying me a little bit to what extent it was a boys' club. And if you think about it, science and technology is literally the area where we're creating the future, and we're creating the products, the solutions to climate change, everything. And it just really struck me and my co-founder, Darren, that like if it was only going to be men making those decisions, we were going to end up with a very strange world. So that's where it started, I have to say.
To what extent do you think it's still a boys' club?
The world is still a boys' club, let's face it. But it has changed. I mean, work that people like myself and people like me are doing has made a big difference. So you'll see now things like BT Young Scientists, you've more than 50% of the entries are young girls now. So, you know, there is a sense that they're seeing more role models. And when they see the role models, they go, well, maybe I can do that. Whereas, you know, when it started out, it was all Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk, and that's all you ever heard of, you know.
Yeah. Going back to your time in UCD, though, to what extent did you feel somewhat isolated as a student because you were a woman?
Yeah. Well, I was lucky, I suppose, that in my days in UCD, I did arts. So, and then I did a master's in theatre studies. So really, you know, I didn't feel in any way isolated.
From being potentially a thespian to becoming a digital guru?
Well, I have to confess now, when I did my master's, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life. I was still young and I adored theatre. So it was as much about, you know, learning at that time. I had done my standard degree, and then when I went on to do my master's, we ended up going to the theatre every week. We were putting on our own productions, and I just adored it. Then I fell into journalism, I suppose, through the writing and research that I would have done at college. But now I run big international events, so if you think about it, I spend half my time backstage. So, you know, it has stood to me, so there's always a connection, you know.
So nothing is ever wasted.
No,
absolutely. No matter what the experience might
And I
be.
tell students that all the time. No matter what you're learning, it doesn't mean that's what you have to do in life, but you're still learning, and it'll contribute to whatever you do.
Now, as we sit here in the UCD Club, all around us there are students on campus. Many of them, you look at the fresh faces embarking on their undergraduate degree, perhaps in first year. What advice would you have for them?
Well, you know, I was driving in and I was looking at them all and I was thinking how young they looked. I mean, the biggest piece of advice I could give is to enjoy every moment of it. You know, university is the one time where you dedicate yourself to yourself, whether it's your professional development or your personal development. You will never get a chance in life again to spend that much time learning. So I would say just try to enjoy every moment of it. And the other piece of advice I always give, whether it's in their studies or in their life when they leave, is to always aspire to excellence and not to perfection. There's no such thing as perfection. And it was always an issue with me when I was younger, trying to achieve perfection. And of course, you never do. So aspire to excellence, not perfection.
When you look back at your career, which is by no means over, you're very much in the middle of a very successful career, what do you regard as your greatest accomplishment thus far?
Well, you wouldn't be aware of this, but Silicon Republic is about to celebrate 20 years in existence. So I'm hugely proud of having co-founded a publisher that talks about science and technology, but that has always been very unafraid and fearless to tackle societal issues, whether that be access to education or whether it be inclusion, diversity, well beyond women, but, you know, ensuring that all our sectors are properly inclusive.
Looking back then on your childhood, because I'm intrigued that you went to do arts and the theatre was a passion, but somewhere in there had to be some sort of technical curiosity Do you recall that as a girl? You know, I remember taking apart the vacuum cleaner, for example, when I was young, got into terrible trouble for it. But do you recall that technical curiosity?
Yeah, no, I definitely had it from very young. I kind of had the fortune to have two big brothers, so that made quite a difference to me. So the kind of toys that were hanging out around the house were like Meccano and Lego, and I certainly delved into that every bit as much as they did. So, you know, I was fairly aware fairly early on that I liked to open things up and to see how they were made, although I never opened up the vacuum cleaner, I have to confess.
It's amazing how many kids today, be they male or female, cannot change a 13 amp plug.
Yeah.
It constantly...
Yeah, it is a little worrying. I think we should all learn that in school. There should be a class.
So something basic. Yeah. So finally then to young girls at the moment who may be, as I say, embarking on first year and who feel that, you know, I can't understand that stuff. What would you say to them finally?
Well, first of all, you know, there is a tendency, there's no doubt about it, for young girls to do this more than young boys to say, I'm not good enough. So the first thing I would say to them is, you are definitely good enough. If you got this far, you got this far for a reason. So to try and get that out of your head and to just listen, learn, absorb, and then practice what you learn. I mean, some of the brightest and smartest people I know in the industry are women. So, you know, the role models are out there. Go and find them, go and research them. They're there, watch what they're doing and realize that you can do that too.
I can do that too. That's the mantra. Anne O'D, thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you.